Carly was speechless when her husband Derek told her she had to move out because he was giving their house to her sister, Jenna. This act of betrayal was something Carly never saw coming, especially from the man she thought knew her best. Yet Carly's reaction to this stunning news was about to surprise everyone, far beyond any simple act of revenge. Carla had been completely caught off guard by her husband's decision. She had demanded an explanation, but she did not get a word out of Derek. All he was telling her was that she needed to be moved out by the end of the week so that he could give the house to her sister. The whole situation was so bizarre that Carla did not even have words for it. She was left with a million questions. Her first thoughts were about if there was anything she could do to stop this. It should not be possible for her husband to make these kinds of decisions for her. At least, that is what she hoped. But the more she started to think about it, the more doubts she started to have about this. She had never expected anything like this to happen, so she had not planned for it either. Even though they were married, they were not married with a community of property. They had done this because Derek brought way more money into the relationship, and it felt unfair to just go half on everything in that way. But this also worked its way into the house. Even though she partly helped pay for it, it was in Derek's name. She does not even remember why she had allowed that exactly. Being stunned by Derek's betrayal and unsure of how to handle the situation, she decided to step away for a moment and find out if she had any legal ground to stand on in this situation. She called a law firm, and after laying out the facts, she was confronted by a very hard truth. There were some things she could do to fight this, but the law firm did not give her a good chance of winning that battle. Derek was mostly in his right to evict her like this, considering the circumstances, and if she wanted to fight it, it could become a very costly battle, something that Carla did not have the funds for, not even close. And so instead of having her focus on ways to prevent the eviction from happening, Carla started to shift her focus to trying to find out why this was happening. She and Derek had been married for 3 years by now. They had met each other late in life after both coming out of long-term relationships. Neither of them had children, and they were also not interested in trying to have any together. For as far as she knew, there had never been any big problems between her and Derek, but he had clearly been thinking differently about that. It was like Derek had completely changed from one day to the next, and it was clear that he was not going to give her an explanation for why that was. So Carla decided to turn to the only other person who was caught up in the situation, her younger sister Lily. She was desperate to know how she had ended up getting involved with Derek in a way that he now wanted to leave her the house. Carla had a fairly normal relationship with her sister. At least that is what she thought. They had been on good terms all throughout their childhood, but never had that much in common, seeing as there was an age gap of 7 years. When Carla moved out of their parents' house, her sister was only 10, but they still saw each other often at family events. Family events that Derek also joined. Carla thought back to the interaction Lily and Derek had during these events, but she could not remember anything standing out to her. They were exactly what you expect from family-in-law. Conversations that were polite, semi-interested, and not too long. Derek always seemed to have a lot more interest in Lily's children than in Lily herself, something the sisters both considered to be cute. In contrast to Carla, Lily had actually had children, 3 in fact. But it was not like that had gone without its issues. She had children with 2 different boyfriends, but she was not together with either one at the moment. She was a single mother, partly living with her and Carla's parents to make ends meet. Carla sometimes felt bad for her, but also considered this to be kind of her own fault, a sentiment that Derek often echoed. Carla's worry for Lily spiked after that odd chat with Derek. She grabbed her phone, punching in Lily's number, waiting for her to pick up. But it went straight to voicemail, again and again. Each failed attempt made Carla's stomach twist. Something wasn't right. She couldn't shake off the feeling that Lily's silence was a loud alarm bell she couldn't ignore. Frustrated and anxious, she needed answers, fast. The silence from Lily's end was deafening. Carla's phone showed call after call, all unanswered. She imagined scenarios, none of them good. Was Lily avoiding her calls on purpose, or was something more sinister at play? With each passing hour, the pit in Carla's stomach grew. The lack of response was out of character for Lily, who usually answered her sister's calls by the second ring. Next, Carla called their parents, hoping they'd heard from Lily. But their words only fueled her fears. "We haven't heard from her in days," they said, worry creeping into their voices. This was unlike Lily, who checked in daily. Their parents' concern mirrored Carla's own. This confirmation from them was the final nudge Carla needed. She had to act, and she had to do it now. The fact that Lily hadn't been in touch with anyone was a glaring red flag. It wasn't like her to go silent, especially not with her kids and family involved. Carla's mind raced with possibilities, none of them reassuring. The situation demanded action. She couldn't just sit back and hope for Lily to show up. It was time to step out of the shadow of worry and into the light of action. With a heavy heart and a mind swirling with questions, Carla decided it was time to visit Lily's apartment. The drive felt longer than usual, each mile stretching out before her filled with unease. Thoughts of what she might find when she got there played on repeat in her mind. She tried to brace herself for any scenario, but deep down, she hoped for a simple explanation. Little did she know, her journey was about to take an unexpected turn. Halfway through the drive, Carla's phone buzzed. Derek's name flashed on the screen, making her hesitate before answering. His voice was urgent, pleading with her to turn back, not to go to Lily's. But Carla's determination was ironclad. She needed answers, and Derek's cryptic warning only fueled her resolve. She pressed the end call button and focused on the road ahead, her decision made. Despite Derek's ominous warning, Carla's resolve didn't waver. She kept driving, her grip on the steering wheel tightening with every mile. The mix of concern for Lily and the thirst for truth pushed her forward. Derek's plea echoed in her mind, but it couldn't deter her. She needed to see for herself, to find out what happened to Lily and her nieces and nephew. Arriving at Lily's apartment, Carla was greeted by an unsettling quiet, the kind of silence that felt heavy, loaded with unspoken stories. She paused at the door, taking a deep breath before stepping inside. The silence wrapped around her, making her heart race. Something was off. Lily's place was too quiet, too still. It felt abandoned, leaving Carla with more questions than answers. Carla decided to ask around, hoping Lily's neighbors might shed some light on the situation. Their responses were alarming. They hadn't seen Lily or the kids for days. One neighbor mentioned seeing Lily in a hurry, loading her car with bags and the kids. It was quick, almost frantic. This piece of information sent a shiver down Carla's spine. Lily leaving in a rush? Why? The apartment's stark emptiness and the neighbors' stories painted a troubling picture. Lily's sudden disappearance, the hurried departure, it all seemed like a piece of a puzzle Carla couldn't solve. The more she learned, the deeper the mystery became. Where could Lily have gone in such a rush? And why? Carla stood in the middle of the empty apartment, surrounded by silence, the weight of unanswered questions pressing down on her. With Lily's keys in hand, Carla stepped into the apartment, a place that once buzzed with life, but now lay silent. The contrast was jarring. Toys were no longer strewn about, and family photos that once decorated the walls were missing. It felt like stepping into a photograph where the colors had faded, a vivid reminder of the emptiness that had replaced the family's presence. The pile of unopened mail on the floor near the door was the first clue. Bills, letters, and flyers, all untouched, suggested Lily hadn't been here for a while. As Carla walked through each room, the absence of Lily's and the kids' personal belongings was glaring. Clothes, toys, even the usual clutter of daily life were gone. It was clear this departure was planned, not hurried. Carla's search turned into a quiet conversation with Lily, each found item whispering a part of her sister's story. An old photo album tucked away in a drawer, a favorite mug left behind, a hastily scribbled note on the fridge. Each spoke volumes while saying so little. It was a silent dialogue between them, with Carla piecing together the fragments of Lily's hurried departure. Amidst the sparse remnants of Lily's life, Carla found her laptop under a pile of clothes in the bedroom closet. It felt like uncovering a treasure chest that might hold the answers to the countless questions swirling in her head. The laptop, potentially a gateway to understanding Lily's sudden disappearance, lay before her, a beacon of hope in the unsettling silence of the abandoned apartment. After multiple tries, Carla finally guessed Lily's password. It felt wrong, like she was snooping through her sister's diary. But she reminded herself this was about finding Lily, not about invading her privacy. Each attempt felt like a betrayal, but when she finally got in, it was a mix of relief and guilt. She knew she had crossed a line, but it was a step closer to finding answers. Carla's eyes scanned through Lily's inbox, stopping at a string of emails between Lily and Derek. Her heart pounded as she clicked open the exchange. Reading their messages felt like opening a window to a secret world she had never known existed. Each email was a piece to a puzzle she hadn't known she was missing. The familiarity between them was unmistakable, yet the content was puzzlingly cryptic. The emails between Lily and Derek were filled with vague phrases like, "when we're ready," or "it's time." Carla tried to make sense of the words, but they were elusive, hiding more than they revealed. It was clear they were planning something. But what? The cryptic nature of their messages only deepened the mystery, leaving Carla more confused than ever. As Carla pieced together the dates of the emails, a chilling realization dawned on her. The increase in their communication coincided perfectly with the week she received her eviction notice. Lily's hurried departure happened right after. It was as if the emails had set a countdown to their actions. This discovery sent a shiver down her spine. Derek and Lily's plans were intertwined with the upheaval in her life. The evidence of Derek's involvement was undeniable. Carla sat back, the weight of her discovery pressing down on her. It was clear Derek had orchestrated this, but why? What was his endgame? The betrayal was palpable, but the motive remained a shadow, elusive and just out of reach. Carla felt the ground shift beneath her as she grappled with the realization that the man she trusted was behind it all. Carla realized the real discussions between Lily and Derek must have happened in person. The emails left too much unsaid, a gap filled with silence and secrets. She felt even more isolated, digging through digital remnants for answers that weren't there. It was like trying to listen to a conversation through a thick wall, catching only muffled sounds, but no clear words. Carla's phone rang, jolting her from her thoughts. It was her neighbor, with news that felt like a splash of cold water. "There's a moving truck outside your house," he said, confusion in his voice. This call was a wake-up call, a push Carla needed to face what was happening. It was no longer just emails and guesses. It was real and happening now. The neighbor's words sank in. A family moving into her home. Lily and her kids, it had to be. The betrayal wasn't just emotional anymore. It was physical, taking over the spaces she used to live in and love. Carla's heart raced as she imagined her sister stepping into her life, filling her space as if she was never there. The thought was unbearable, a clear picture of betrayal. Everything Carla had built with Derek was being taken apart, piece by piece, and handed over to Lily. It was as if her entire world, once filled with love and trust, was being systematically replaced by the very people she called family. This realization hit her hard, a betrayal not just by Derek, but by Lily too. Her world, once shared and cherished, was now foreign and invaded. In the whirlwind of betrayal and loss, Carla knew she needed solid ground. She called her parents, her voice shaking. She needed their support, an anchor in the chaos that her life had become. Explaining the situation, she felt the warmth of their concern, a lifeline thrown into the stormy seas she was navigating. In this moment of turmoil, reaching out to her parents felt like finding a beacon of hope. Carla's heartfelt plea for help and understanding was met with a response she never saw coming. Her parents' words were cold, almost distant. Instead of empathy, they offered a solution that felt like another blow. "Why don't you just move into Lily's old apartment?" This response, void of warmth or support, left Carla reeling. The lack of empathy from those she expected to stand by her was shocking. The suggestion to simply take over Lily's old apartment laid bare a shocking indifference to Carla's turmoil. It wasn't the comfort or the support she sought. It was a dismissal of her pain, a suggestion to sweep the betrayal under the rug. This cold proposal from her parents underscored a chilling lack of empathy, amplifying the sense of betrayal that was already tearing at Carla's heart. This reaction from her parents wasn't just disappointing. It was revealing. It showcased a profound disconnect within what Carla once considered a close-knit family. The realization that her pain seemed irrelevant to them deepened her sense of isolation. This was more than just indifference. It was a stark revelation of where she stood in her family's hierarchy of concerns, painfully low. Faced with this unexpected betrayal, Carla was forced to reassess everything she believed about family loyalty and support. The realization that she stood virtually alone in her struggle was a harsh awakening. This wasn't just about a house or a marriage anymore. It was about the very foundation of her relationships. Carla found herself questioning the loyalty of those she had never doubted before. Discovering her parents' willingness to overlook her upheaval for financial convenience was a bitter pill to swallow. It was clear now, their suggestions weren't about helping her heal, but about maintaining the status quo, ensuring that financially everything remained convenient. This realization stung, highlighting a transactional aspect to what Carla had always believed was unconditional love and support within her family. Her parents' suggestion, pragmatic yet ice-cold, to just replace Lily, felt like another betrayal. To them, it was a simple swap, but to Carla, it was a violation of familial duty and affection. Their words, meant to be practical, only added salt to her already painful wounds. Carla struggled to comprehend how her own family could see her situation as nothing more than a problem needing a convenient fix. The stark realization hit Carla hard. The relationships she once believed were grounded in unconditional love and support now revealed themselves to be transactional. This moment of clarity forced her to confront a painful truth. Her family saw her plight as an inconvenience rather than a crisis. The familial bonds she cherished seemed to have strings attached, ones she had never noticed before. Despite the coldness and betrayal, Carla felt a spark of determination light within her. This ordeal had stripped away her naivety, but also fueled her resolve. She wouldn't let her dignity be trampled upon without a fight. Carla knew it was time to reclaim her agency, to stand up against the forces that sought to diminish her. She wouldn't be a passive victim in this narrative any longer. The drive home was long, giving Carla time to reflect on everything she had lost and suffered. The betrayal by Derek, the indifference of her family, and Lily's silence. Each thought added weight to her resolve. By the time she pulled into her driveway, her heartache had crystallized into a fierce determination for revenge. Carla was ready to turn her pain into action. Betrayed and wounded, Carla now saw her path clearly. It was time for retribution. Alone in the quiet of what used to be her home, she began to devise a plan. Derek and Lily, the architects of her misery, would not get away with their deceit. Carla's mind raced with possibilities, each more satisfying than the last. She was ready to reclaim her story, and this time she would be the one writing the ending. The Carla who once sought reconciliation was gone, replaced by a woman hungry for justice and recompense. This shift wasn't made lightly. It was born from betrayal and a yearning for fairness. Carla no longer looked to mend what was broken, but to balance the scales. Her journey had taken a sharp turn, leading her down a path she never expected to walk. Carla's return home was anything but ordinary. As she stepped through the door, she found Derek and Lily together, their annoyance at her presence palpable. This wasn't the welcome she anticipated, but it set the stage for what was to come. The air was charged with tension, a prelude to the inevitable clash. Carla stood on the threshold of confrontation, ready for the next act in this drama. Carla's calm demeanor stood in stark contrast to Derek and Lily's visible irritation. This juxtaposition highlighted a significant shift in power dynamics. Carla, once disoriented by their betrayal, now held her ground with a quiet confidence. Her composure in the face of their annoyance underscored her newfound strength. She was no longer at their mercy, but a formidable presence in her own right. The smile that played on Carla's lips was not one of defeat, but a signal of the storm brewing beneath her calm exterior. This smile marked her transformation from a victim of circumstances to the master of her fate. It was a subtle yet clear indication that Carla had embraced her role as the architect of her destiny, ready to unleash the full force of her resolve. In the heated moment of confrontation, with eviction looming over her head, Carla revealed her trump card. Her role as godmother to Lily's children, a bond that carried weight and significance, was her ace in the hole. This revelation was not just a strategic move, it was a declaration of Carla's unwillingness to be cast aside. She was fighting back, leveraging her position in ways they hadn't anticipated. Carla's declaration about her potential to challenge custody because of her status as godmother introduced a twist of legal and moral complexity. Suddenly, she wasn't just the wronged party. She held power over Lily and Derek. This leverage turned the tables, adding a layer of panic and urgency to their reactions. Carla, once underestimated, now commanded the scene with newfound authority. The possibility that Carla could have Lily's children taken away sent shockwaves through the room. Lily, confronted with the immediate consequences of her betrayal, was forced to reckon with the reality of her actions. Her panic was palpable, a tangible sign of the turmoil churning beneath her composed exterior. Carla's strategic move was a wake-up call, forcing Lily to face the mess she'd helped create. This pivotal moment marked Carla's transition from a passive victim to an empowered, strategic force. Her ability to upend the lives of those who betrayed her showcased her adaptability and resilience. No longer a bystander in her own story, Carla took control, weaving her understanding of legal and emotional leverage into a position of strength. Her transformation was both a revelation and a warning. Under the weight of Carla's threat, Lily's facade crumbled, revealing the twisted reality of her relationship with Derek. The truth, once hidden behind closed doors and whispered promises, now lay bare for all to see. Lily's unraveling exposed the depths of deceit and manipulation that had fueled their union, casting a shadow over what was once considered familial bonds. Derek's intentions, cloaked in the guise of seeking a family, were laid bare. His pursuit of a younger woman, already a mother, revealed his true colors, a man driven by selfish desires and a yearning for instant gratification. This revelation painted a stark portrait of Derek, a character whose motivations were rooted in personal gain rather than genuine affection or loyalty. Lily's admission shattered any remaining illusions, exposing the full extent of her and Derek's deception. This confession, while hard to hear, reshaped Carla's understanding of the people she once trusted. The depth of their betrayal was now clear, casting them in a new, unflattering light. This revelation, though painful, was necessary, stripping away the facade to reveal the truth beneath. In the wake of Lily's confession, Carla found a harsh clarity. This moment of honesty, as painful as it was, offered her the closure she desperately sought. Understanding the true nature of Lily and Derek's actions allowed her to finally begin the process of moving forward, free from the questions and doubts that had haunted her. It was a painful step, but a crucial one towards healing. The resolution of Carla's marital turmoil manifested in a divorce settlement, heavily skewed in her favor. This legal conclusion was a testament to her resilience and strategic planning. The negotiations were tough, but Carla, armed with evidence and a clear sense of what she deserved, managed to secure an agreement that acknowledged her suffering and her strength. While the settlement couldn't erase the memories of betrayal and pain, it provided Carla with the means to start anew. This agreement, favorable to her, symbolized not just financial compensation, but a recognition of her resilience. It offered her a solid foundation to rebuild her life, this time on her own terms, and with a clear vision of the future she wanted to create. The story's conclusion, while not the fairy tale ending some might wish for, was a realistic portrayal of growth, resilience, and the complexity of human relationships. Carla's journey through betrayal, pain, and eventual empowerment reflected the messy, often unpredictable path of personal development. It was a testament to her strength and her ability to find hope and direction in the aftermath of deception.